Last week, he shared his journey from a small town in St. Elizabeth to the halls of government. But in 2021, he faced one of the toughest moments of his career, a scandal that led to his resignation. Today, he opens up about that experience, his comeback, and his future. My guest once again is the Honorable Floyd Green. I'm Archibald Gordon. This is Profile. Welcome back to Profile, part 2 now of my interview with the Honourable Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Floyd Green. Last week, we ended the program by talking a little bit about your work as Minister of State in Education, and then you get thrust into, you know, they are your people, the people of St. Elizabeth, but they're farmers, and that is a demanding job in Ministry of Agriculture. How were you?
Extremely demanding. I was excited. I continue to be excited to serve as Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, and now mining. But initially I was Agriculture and Fisheries. And clearly you appreciate there's a lot of responsibility, not just for your constituency, but the majority of our Jamaican people.
Yes,
our farmers, our fishers.
Everybody
absolutely. And so, you know, early out, I recognized that, boy, a lot of work to be done, a lot of work to get done. But I also realized that you don't have all the answers. So one of the first things I did when I became Minister of Agriculture was to organize a listening tour, to go around to hear from our farmers and fishers what they wanted to see the ministry do for them, what were their priorities. And we went to every single parish. We had a meeting in the morning for farmers, in the evening for fishers. I remember a farmer getting up and said, boy, Minister, we can't get health insurance. When we go to try and get health insurance, it's way too expensive, and we can't afford it. And I said, but there must be a way. And one of the first things we set about to do, coming out of those listening tours, was to sit with our insurance companies and to say, why don't we treat our farmers and fishers as a group? So as you treat ministries, why don't we do a group plan that they can access at preferential rates? And unfortunately, we're able to get that done with both of our companies, both Sagicor and Guardian, and we're able to go back to the farmers and fishers and say, well, you know, you put this forward. This is your idea. You've asked for this. And, you know, maybe if we had just sat in the office, that wouldn't have arisen as a priority. So I did listen to the people significantly. And one of the good things is that in the constituency, almost everybody interact with has an opinion about agriculture, about fisheries, and how we can make it better.
All right, so it's the Ministry of Agriculture, and you get more and more work, additional portfolios added to that. And, you know, succeeding, people seeing you as one of the leading faces in, certainly young faces in the Jamaica Labour Party. And then you have the misstep. A video surfaces in COVID-19 when everyone should be social distancing. First of all, what are you thinking when the video surfaces?
I think the biggest thing for me had always been
this is contravening the rules about distancing.
Yeah, with just the genuine disappointment that all of those people who look up to you, all of those people who have invested in your journey, your family, it was really about the impact on them, the impact that the challenges that they would face because of my actions, and just how they would, the disappointment that they would feel, quite frankly. I think that was the biggest initial feeling. One, clearly a genuine reflection around, you know, just a very bad decision, right? And then move into, you know, taking responsibility. You
said in your statement in which you resigned, you said, I have disappointed so many, including my family, my prime minister, and most importantly, the people of Jamaica. When I think of as a newsman myself, I often say I never want to be in the news. So my question there is when this is happening, are you reading what people are saying? Are you?
So the first thing I tried to do was to have a discussion with my son.
Okay.
Right. Appreciating that it would have even a greater negative impact on him, especially if it just comes by the way. And to be honest, sat him down. I told him what had happened. As children do, they had strong views. And he had a strong reprimand for me. But I'm happy I did that because the entire news, the entire first segment and the second segment of the news was about it. Wow. And normally, once I'm home, news I have to watch, and I have to watch news. So I couldn't, turn off the TV. So I'm very happy we had that discussion because it maybe kind of prepared him for all that went through. Clearly, you try not to focus on the statements, but you can't escape them, right? It was definitely a tough time.
How did that change your approach when you were eventually reappointed to the position itself, to the job?
I think clearly what it does is make you consider every decision a lot more, right? Sometimes you can get into a frame of operation, right? And I think now I pause a lot more to try to examine every single element, aspect, potential downfall, right? I have had to say to myself, still don't overthink, because you can't get yourself at that stage where you think so much you're not acting, right? But definitely it does make me a lot more thoughtful in relation to some of these things, and just a lot more appreciative of two things. I think one good points that came out is that in the regular course of operation, as a public servant, as a political representative, you may not know if people regard your work, right? I think even in the face of what was a difficult scenario, I did get a lot of outpouring of support to say that people regard your work. Outside of that, definitely, it broadens your back. When you look at some of the vile, hateful things that people say, you have to appreciate that, boy. It comes with the territory. And sometimes you have to push through all of that.
I want to talk a little bit about what that territory is like from a practical level, because it's a lot of practical work. But we have to take our first break on this episode of Profile. My guest is the Honorable Floyd Green. He's a leader who's faced challenges but continues to serve. We're back with you after these messages.